Welcome to Game Crunch, your weekly video game podcast. My name is Mike Anastasia. With me today, we have Brandon.
Hello.
And we are here to talk about games and things. What's on the agenda this week? No clue. But Super Mario Wonder is getting a Nintendo Direct this week, so obviously that leads into discussion about Nintendo Direct, because that is soon to be upcoming. I don't even know where to start. You said you had a new game.
No. I have a story.
Okay.
Let's have this story, all right? It's a fun one. All right. So, I was super excited for the AEW fighting game and whatnot. And I got it.
Yeah.
So they are a month and 2 weeks past the date that they were supposed to release the DLC for it.
Okay.
In other words, I paid for the special edition, and they didn't give me the stuff that I paid for because it doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided the best course of action would be to ask for a refund through Microsoft.
Okay.
So I was going to. They have an automated refund process. But since I pre-ordered the game and then it released the first part of the game on June 25th, it's definitely past the amount of days, which is 30, I believe, that you can use to refund the game. So I couldn't refund the game. So I called Microsoft. And here's where the story begins. Because it's hilarious.
All right.
So, I ended up getting a hold of someone, and I explained with them my issue. And one of the first things they asked me, can you guess what the first thing they asked me was?
Your name.
Well, that is obviously the first thing to get to a person. But when we talked about my issue, do you know what the first thing they asked me was?
Did you play it?
No, it was, can you prove that this DLC doesn't exist?
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So I was sitting here and I was like, yes? You can, look and see that it never released. Mm-hmm. And I also own it. And they're like, all right, well, I'm going to need you to take a video for me showing that you don't own it. I'm like, I have to show you that I don't own something that doesn't exist. Okay. All right, then.
That's like those things when Amazon's like, can you prove the package wasn't delivered?
And they take a picture of the thing not existing. Yeah, that's basically what happened here. I went through every single character after showing them that I had the special edition DLC and that, I had it installed, but the DLC never existed. And then I went through every character and I showed them, that's not here. It's not here. I don't have it. It doesn't exist. It was never made. And then the guy's like, okay, I see where that could be an issue. I'm like, oh, really? You did, didn't you?
He had to be fucking with you.
No. It gets better. He was not fucking with me. He was just really stupid. All right? The next thing he says to me is, we cannot refund you your purchase, but we could do a downgrade of your purchase. And I was like, okay, well, that's fine with me. We can do that. And he goes, all right. So in order to do this downgrade, first you're going to need to buy the standard edition. And I'm like, how do I buy the standard edition if I already own it?
Yeah.
And he's like, that's a very good question. Give me a moment. And then I get put on for 15 minutes. And then he tells me, okay, we've refunded your full purchase. Now, while you're on the phone with me, I need you to buy the standard edition. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I buy the standard edition, right?
Okay.
It goes through. So now I've got my money back. But then I realized something. He didn't refund my purchase to my Xbox account. He refunded it to my banking account. So I just spent $60 out of pocket to make that purchase again. And I haven't got the other money back that he refunded me because it's on hold.
Oh.
So I basically double bought the item because the other money hadn't come back in yet, and I just purchased it out of pocket, more or less. And I was like, okay, fine, all right. I can't believe this happened, but yeah, I guess it technically worked. We're good now. He's like, all right, then. I'm going to close this case. So he closes the case. And then I had an idea.
Uh-huh.
He refunded me the special edition, which was the full $71.99, which was the whole game.
Yeah.
And I spent money out of pocket to buy this. But Microsoft accepts refunds if it hasn't been over 30 days.
Oh.
I just bought this game out of pocket 5 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I immediately asked for a refund through the automated system, and it was allowed, and I got all my money sent back to my bank instantly.
Wow.
So I got both like of my monies back, more
That's
or less.
pretty impressive, actually.
Yeah.
And I know you weren't particularly fond with the game and in the form it released in either.
Yes, correct. I'm probably gonna buy it when it's on sale because at this point, with them not doing any updates, and then the only update that they did come out with, which this was another reason why I decided to go about trying to get the refund. The only update they come out with was literally a few days ago, and it was a battle royale mode. And I don't mean battle royale like you got to knock the people out of the ring. I mean like a literal, the circle is closing in, you pick up items, you get vests and stuff, like you would in Fortnite. That's what they made for a wrestling game.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't work, and it was very bad, and that was what they gave us instead of the DLC that I purchased. And they were like, oh, that DLC, we don't know when we'll release it. And I was like, well, I want my fucking money back, essentially. Yeah. So I did that, and I got my money back. And I went through all of that shit, essentially. And then I got my money back again. So I then took that money, and I turned around, and I bought Armored Core 6 on Xbox.
I heard good things.
Yeah, we'll talk about that just in another second, because there's a story attached to this as well, because the story's not complete yet.
Okay.
So I didn't play Armored Core 6 that day. Instead, I went and played CSGO with my friends, like I do at night, every night, more or less. I do that with them before going to bed, just to kind of chill and unwind with some friends and that sort of thing. So I did that, and there was one point in the game where I kept going to the section of the map. Mm-hmm. Because normally, I'm really good at playing that section of the map, and I will get my kills every single time. This time, it was not happening. It was not working. I just kept dying. And I finally got really mad, and I was like, I'm not going there again. I'm not going to do it. I'm not fucking doing it. I'm so sick and tired of dying. I'm not going to go to that spot again. And then my friend pipes up, and he goes, I bet you that you will slip up and go back to that area of the map at some point before the end of this game. I was like, I'll take that bet. What's in it for me? He goes, I'll buy you something off your wish list, off your Steam wish list. If you don't, I'm like, okay. So I make the conscious decision to never go to that area of the map again. The rest of the game, I will go all the way around the map, the long way, but never to that area of the map again. Every single round. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure I cost my team a few rounds because I did that. But I meant I was not doing that. And then at the end of it, I jokingly said to my friend, so what are you going to get me now? And I was obviously joking, I'm not expecting him to actually go through with something like that. And then I got a fucking message on Steam that I was gifted something. It was Armored Core 6.
Okay.
My friend bought me Armored Core 6. And I said, dude, you didn't have to do this. I was just fucking with you. He goes, I'm not a bitch. Mm-hmm. He's like, you should take that game and you're going to play it. And I was like, I kind of already have this on Xbox. And he's like, well, you told me how you got the refund on the other games. Looks like you're doing it to this one as well. So I refunded Armored Core 6 on Xbox. And I got Armored Core 6 for completely free and all of my money back.
Not bad. So you didn't rebuy anything on Xbox then?
Nothing has been rebought on Xbox. Correct. Okay.
Not too shabby.
Yep. So that was what I did this week, other than have an amazing pay-per-view that I watched. Really good pay-per-view, actually. It was the largest wrestling event in history, and it was incredible. It was so good. But I'm not going to go into details about that. I'll just say All In was great. It was really fun to watch, and I enjoyed every minute of it and all the matches. But we're going to move on to actually talking about Armored Core 6 now, because I have played Armored Core 6.
So is it good like I heard, or no?
It's really fucking good. It is incredibly good. Leading up to this, I played some other Armored Core games on my Steam Deck through emulation, that sort of thing, to kind of because I knew at some point I was going to get Armored Core 6, but I wasn't sure when, more or less. But yeah, so there's some differences in this Armored Core as opposed to past Armored Core. I would say some of the inspirations of Souls-like games definitely come out in this game, more so than any of the past Armored Core games ever.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's a bad thing. I actually think it's really good. I think some of the bosses are incredibly hard, but there's also some elements of this that's like really, really good. I didn't get filtered, as people like to call it, where you can't get past something and you're just kind of stuck there. Apparently, a lot of people bought and refunded the game in the first day because they couldn't get past the tutorial boss, which is insane to me.
Really?
Yes.
Is it that hard, or is it just not?
I didn't
is the
think
game
it was,
difficult
but
control-wise?
no, the game's not difficult to control. I just think people have TikTok brain rot and don't understand mechanics of things that aren't clearly spelt out for them.
Okay.
So, yeah, I just think people are stupid, more or less. But there's a lot of people, and there were articles written by, the usual journalists being like, needs an easy mode, blah, 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 all that shit. And again, much like your Dark Souls, your Demon Souls, your Bloodborne, your Sekiro, your any of that stuff, character building is very important. The only difference here is you're playing as a mech and not a human or a Ashen or whatever else you are.
Uh-huh.
So, in this game, a lot of your gameplay, I'd say, in this game takes place before you start a mission.
Okay.
Because you kind of have to micromanage your weight, the kind of weapons you take in, the kind of legs you have, all this sort of stuff. And you're able to change out cockpits, and you're able to change body types, and you're able to change legs. So you might get a leg type that makes it so you jump incredibly high, and so on and so forth. I will share a few moments that I thought were super fun. There's this one mission where you're in a desert and you have to scale this gigantic machine that's constantly firing this doom laser at you, essentially. And you blow its legs up, and then it kind of falls down, and you're able to start scaling it. And you have a really, really good sense of scale. It feels like you're climbing up a Colossus from Shadow of the Colossus or something. And you're a mech, but you're climbing up a way bigger mech that's essentially a fucking island, and you're climbing up and finding all its weak points and destroying them, and it was super fucking cool. And then at the end of that, you had to take out the giant laser that's been shooting at you the entire time. And that element of the game and little moments like that are really fun. And then there's been some other moments where you find this rookie that's out there that's piloting an armored core or an AC unit for the first time, and your mission as a merc is to fucking kill them. So there's no one else that could essentially take your job. And because the sponsors that you have that are paying you are we don't want him out there, we want him dead. And then this guy's just basically pleading with you. He's I just wanted to pilot an AC for once, I just wanted to try it one time in my life, but you just fucking end this man's life, just straight up kill him for no reason in cold blood. And it's really dark. A lot of the things in this game are super dark, because you are essentially just a mercenary that kills for money. That is it. That is the only reason you are here. And because of that, it has a lot of elements where it's you are essentially committing war crimes. Okay. And it's really neat. It's really good. It's a lot of fun. And the different kinds of AC units that you can create are really, really in-depth, essentially. There's even an entire emblem system, decal system, where people can make and share their decals online. And the decals are custom designs that people have put together by building shapes together and making them into little pictures and everything. And you can put in the code that someone shares with you, and then you can have that on your AC unit, and it's cool. It's really good. It's very in depth. It's lots of fun. You can build it your own way. You can use different kinds of weapons. You can build essentially right now I have dual pistols and dual rocket cannons on my AC unit, and that's the way I've been playing this whole time. It is incredibly, and I mean incredibly inefficient, but it's really fun. So yeah, Armored Core is fantastic. It is a really good game. I don't know yet if it's going to be a standout title, because I really need to play more of it. But for an Armored Core game, this is really fun. When I say
How
standout
much time
title,
have you
I mean
gotten
like
into it?
3 or 4 hours, somewhere in there.
Okay. So a decent amount, but definitely not enough to kind of fully assess.
Yeah, basically. And like I said, I watched a pay-per-view this weekend that was like nearly 5 hours long. So, you know,
Yeah.
I was kind of busy.
Yeah, and that would do it.
Yeah. But I do think this is an excellent game and I really want to put more time into it. I played it on my Steam Deck as well, and it works incredibly well at medium settings on my Steam Deck. I've
Oh,
got like
nice.
no issues. I had to take Katie to the doctor today, and in the middle of like in the waiting room, I just busted out my Steam Deck and played through like a few missions in it, and it was perfectly fine. There was like no issues with it whatsoever. Very fun. So, yeah.
I've never played any of the Armored Core games. I've always heard they're pretty good.
I will give you a video
Okay.
that I watched that's really cool. It is very long, but it is very in depth with every single Armored Core game because there's a lot. Like there's a lot of Armored Core games on a lot of different consoles also. So let's see how long this video is because I've watched this video now. Yeah, I played 15 of FromSoft's hardest games. A lot of people actually consider Armored Core to be a harder game than any of the Souls titles. Period.
Okay.
Now, early titles are a lot harder because of the way it's designed, but also the combat's like very difficult as well. And the video's like an hour and 33 minutes long.
Mm-hmm.
They went through like every single Armored Core game, and it was a very interesting like retrospective. So I'll just like leave that here for you so you can watch that at some point.
Okay.
Very good. Yeah, and then that made me actually download quite a few of them on my Steam Deck, and I played through some of the PS1 ones. They're really hard. Like I don't think I fully finished any of the PlayStation 1 Armored Core games. They are incredibly hard. So
Not a single one.
no. I think there's like 4 of them also. And they're hard. Like really fucking hard.
I did not think that. I don't know because I never knew that these would be considered like hard games. I always figured they were technical games. But I guess that's kind of a lot what Dark Souls and all those are too, anyways.
Yes. And you can, at least in this version of Armored Core 6, you can see a lot of very difficult technical aspects to it. And I mean, you essentially have a dodge button in this game, but there's no iframes, so no invincibility frames when you dodge. It's just more of a way to get out of the way of something. So whereas in Dark Souls, when you dodge and roll through something, you're able to roll through the attack because of your invincibility frames. But in Armored Core, you're not. You will still get hit. So it's more of a way of repositioning yourself away from attacks and that sort of deal. So in some respects, like I said, Armored Core is harder than Dark Souls.
Yeah, and good for them. I guess if you're looking for challenge,
Mm-hmm.
if you're looking for completion, maybe not.
Well, from what I understand, there is special things you can unlock also, like completion goals in Armored Core as well. So, yeah.
Like, what do you mean? Like, kind of like achievement kind of things?
No, like different parts for your robot.
Oh, okay.
Like the kind I know at least in like Armored Core, the PlayStation 2 ones, right?
Mhm.
Defeating certain enemies would get you different pieces of like robot parts essentially for your AC unit. And I think that carries over here, but I'm not entirely sure yet. I've noticed like the higher ranking you get when you replay missions, you're more likely to get items, but I don't actually know exactly how it works. I'm not sure if that's just you replayed a mission, here's some more parts you can buy in the shop, or if it's because I did better or what have you. I'm not entirely sure. I got to look more into the game and go like more in depth. There's this one element that someone talked about, and because I wanted to share like another part that's like kind of like dark and kind of twisted about this game. There is a boss fight, right?
Yeah.
It's the one that everyone was talking about getting filtered out of, where basically they couldn't move on to the tutorial boss, that sort of deal. And
Yeah.
immediately after that, everything's just like super easy. But
Okay.
right, there's a reason for that. So after you play the boss fight, you go back through one of the areas you've been to in the past, and like all of the enemies there are pushovers. But if you actually listen, the reason why is because it's a cleanup crew. You're literally slaughtering civilians.
Oh.
And it's like it's kind of fucked up. It's
Yeah.
really neat, like when you like get into the lore of Armored Core. Like there's some crazy shit here. And it's cool. Like I highly recommend paying attention to the game when you play it, because like some of the stuff here is pretty fucked. And I really like that aspect of it, because it just kind of makes the oppressive atmosphere shine through more, and it gives the game a lot more feeling than just, oh neat, cool robots. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
No, that makes sense.
yeah, so that's essentially where I'm at. Armored Core is really good.
The only kind of like mech game I ever played was Custom Robo.
Really.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I don't really. I mean, not that I necessarily have anything against them. It's just
Mhm.
that just happened to be the only one I played.
Mm.
Um.
Titanfall 2 is a mech game. You played that?
Uh, yeah, but I don't really. Is it like Armored Core like more customizable? Titanfall
Oh yeah,
really isn't.
way
Like
way more customizable. Yeah.
Titanfall is just kind of like you have a mech, and at least that's my memory of it. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Didn't we like the mech? Like, wasn't it the best character in the game?
Oh yeah, it was fucking awesome. No, I'm not. I'm not speaking ill about that mech. I'm just saying it's not really like customizable from my like memory. Like it
No, I
wasn't
don't
kind of
think so
like
either. I think it was they gave it a personality instead.
yeah.
Some mech games that are really good. Front Mission, which just re-released on the Switch.
Uh huh.
Good game. Good game. Front Mission. It plays similar to like Final Fantasy Tactics or
Oh yes, yes.
Disgaea. Good
I've heard.
game. Front Mission 1 and 2. The first one just re-released on Switch, and the second one is in a few months, I believe. So that's worth checking out. I'm trying to think of other games. You never played like MechAssault on Xbox, the original Xbox or anything?
Mm-mm. Yeah.
Huh. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess other than like Dynasty Warriors Gundam and MechAssault and pretty much anything else that has Gundam in the title, there really aren't a whole lot of very well known mech games when it comes down to it.
No, not really. Not anymore these days. I think it's definitely something that kind of grew out.
Oh, you know
There
what?
definitely
You know
was
what's
like an
actually
era of them.
really good? I got
Mhm.
it for free, and I finally got to play it. So I got it for free because Epic Games actually gave this away during like Christmas.
Uh-huh.
Daemon X Machina. That game's actually really fucking good when it's running at a good frame rate.
Yeah, I mean, I think people weren't too terribly down on it, even on the Switch.
hmm
They got a good. I just don't think it sold well.
hmm
But I don't know. I feel like mech games have just been like I said, they had an era, they passed it. It's just not kind of something that people are just kind of like, oh, cool, mechs. I'm gonna go and do this.
I think the reason why Armored Core is probably going to be the outlier for this, like this year at least, I was like, oh, it's because of the fact that the Dark Souls community, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few other mech games I'd like recommend, like Into the Breach. It's another game that is tactically like based, similar to something like Disgaea or FTL or any of those kind of games. Where you're on like a grid controlling a mech. That game's really fun. Um, I guess I'd point to the obvious, like Xenogears, Xenosaga, Xenoblade? Question mark?
Oh, I guess Xenoblade Chronicles X had like
Yeah,
some kind of mech stuff
yeah,
later in the game.
it did.
But I can't remember if they were customizable or not. Like I know you could purchase different models, so at least there
hmm
was kind of more of a, variety to it. But I don't remember like how customizable it was. It's been a long time since I played that game. And every once in a while kind of like think to myself like, "Oh, I'd like to play this again." And then I'm kind of like, "Well, I am sure they're going to re-release it again someday in some form." And I remember the end of the game kind of pissing me off. So I'm like,
hmm
I'll wait until it's a little, until I have more incentive to play it again.
Okay.
But that is a good show or a good game. Yeah, no, I like that one. I mean, well, I wish it had more story to it than say like because it's kind of it's definitely more of like an exploration kind of like get powerful kind of game as opposed to
Wasn't it like
a story driven.
a pseudo online game initially, or going to be?
I don't think
It
so.
feels like
It
it.
feels like one. Like I think it plays more like one than anything else.
Hmm.
But yeah, no, I don't like. I think it is definitely has that kind of single player vibe, but I don't think they ever kind of doubled down on or pulled back
It
from
feels
it.
like it should have been an MMO. That's what it feels like.
And it probably would work well as an MMO.
Hmm.
I think I think honestly that kind of like the general kind of idea of that series would work well as it because
Hmm.
it's got you fighting those like big bosses and stuff, and I could imagine them doing like kind of like a raid thing kind of with it.
Hmm.
But obviously it's not something they've ever like committed to. So yeah, they kind of strayed away from that angle. But I mean, I would I would be in on it if they did something like that. Especially I could see them. I mean, honestly, if they ever remake it, that could be a cool feature for it to have like multiplayer,
Yeah.
like a small team, kind of everyone has their own mechs kind of thing. Um, yeah, that'd
Speaking
be
of multiplayer, people have already modded multiplayer into Bomb Rush Cyberpunk.
really.
Yes, and it works like incredibly well.
That didn't take long.
Yeah, it took like 4 days essentially,
Yeah.
which is insane to me.
Yeah, they I don't know, people are so creative getting some of those things done. I would say. I mean, you'd think it would take a little bit longer than that, but hey, good for them. Especially if it plays well too.
I watched the first 2 episodes of Twisted Metal.
Oh, how is it? I heard it looked kind of like it was kind of good.
So, first episode didn't feel like Twisted Metal, and the second episode started to feel more like it, but it kind of had some of the issues that I have with other things. Like, I like to call it the Marvel brain rot has to make some kind of silly one-liner,
Hmm.
or a quip every few minutes, that sort of thing. And that kind of happens here too, but I do think that it's more subdued and it actually works really, really well. I wish Samoa Joe, which is who plays Sweet Tooth, would have been able to be the one to voice him and not Will Arnett, because it's really hard to take anything Will Arnett does seriously.
Yeah.
And he's also jokey Sweet Tooth kind of character in this, and it just it works, but it also, like I said, it has that Marvel kind of stigma to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's that. Um, I think it's pretty alright. I think it's not a bad show from the 2 episodes I've seen so far.
Are you gonna
I
keep
think
watching it?
yes, I am. I do think that I kind of see where it's going already. Like I think the lady that he ended up meeting in the first episode, who essentially there's okay, so I'll give you like a quick rundown, basically.
Okay.
So our main character is basically an outcast because he was an orphan, so he doesn't live in any of the section off towns or anything. Instead, he just kind of travels the roads and does jobs for people, all that good jazz. You know what I mean? Like all the
Hmm.
dirty jobs that no one's willing to no one's willing to go into, so he does it.
All that jazz, magic
Yeah,
fingers.
exactly, exactly. So he meets this one woman who says that he can live in like this big advanced town that they've created after the apocalypse, and yada 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 blah blah blah. She tells him, we have like families here, we have this, that, and the other, and she's like selling him on this whole thing where he can like move into the area, he can live there, he could start a family, he could start over, he can finally have a life instead of being having to look out for himself, always over his shoulder and watch out for someone trying to kill him.
Okay.
And she sells him basically this paradise, and then once she's done selling it to him and he drives off, she puts the baby away. She's like, "Get this fucking thing out of my arms. I don't want this." And you get back to the mines, and she like sends off her husband, who wasn't her husband, and the entire thing was essentially a setup to get this man to go do this. So
Hmm.
now he's gone off to do something based off of a false pretense, essentially. And he's got to travel from one part of the United States all the way to the other side of the United States in 3 days, more or less, to get something and then bring it back to her. He's transporting something, but he's not allowed to look at what it is. So that's what's going on right now. That's where we're at. As he's traveling, he travels through old Las Vegas or new Las Vegas or whatever it is. And that's where Sweet Tooth resides. It's his area. It's his place. So he meets up with Sweet Tooth, and Sweet Tooth tells him he wants him to sit through his play, and he says no one's ever made it through the entire thing and lived.
Okay.
So the guy goes to sit through the play, and it turns out it's just Sweet Tooth reading the entire like historic information of the hotel that they're at, like line for line from like a huge fucking manual, and it's like really boring. And he's like, "I loved it," and he's like, "What did you love about it?" You know, he's like calling him a liar and everything, saying he didn't love it. And the other person that's there is like, "It was a crock of shit. It was fucking garbage. I wanted to kill myself." And then he's like, "Really?" And then basically all he was looking for was someone to be transparent with him, tell him the truth this entire time.
Mm-hmm.
And then they convince him to go out and take his show on the road instead. So now Sweet Tooth's been let loose on the entire United States.
Okay.
So I'm
for
sure
Sweet
that
Tooth.
won't come back and bite them in the ass later.
No, definitely not. Can't be a plot point.
Exactly. But I'm pretty sure the lady that set this entire thing up is Calypso. And if you've ever played have you ever played Twisted Metal?
No.
Oh my god, really? Okay. So, in Twisted Metal, there is this person. All right, let me make sure I get all the names right. Yep. Okay. So in Twisted Metal, there is this person named Calypso. He's like the one person, more or less, that has all these tournaments take place. The reason why these tournaments of death take place with all the cars and the shooting and the exploding and the killing and all that sort of thing is because he's essentially a demon that promises anyone that they can have their wildest desire, their wish can come true. So like a loved one that's dead being brought back to life, or like being able to get revenge on someone that molested them, or bad things that have happened in the past, or things that they want, like just to be a billionaire, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Anyone can make those wishes, and he'll let them come true if they win the Twisted Metal tournament. The thing is, it's kind of like a monkey's paw sort of deal, where more or less he's going to twist their wish and like make them not want it and like torment them throughout the entire thing after they do win the tournament for him, and he's kind of set them up to kill off people and to do his bidding. And the woman that he met in the first episode says some of Calypso's huge catchphrases.
Okay.
So it really kind of had a vibe of like, okay, I see where this is going. And I'm not sure if that is where it's going, but it had that vibe. Otherwise, yeah, it could be. Otherwise, I don't know where this is going, because it's not like following any Twisted Metal game or anything. But it's not terrible. It's just not Twisted Metal yet. You know what I mean? It's not what I would think of when I wanted to watch a Twisted Metal show.
Yeah, no, fair. Not like, although I feel like kind of like a lot of other, well, not a lot, but at least in terms of video game stuff, turning it into multimedia, I feel like Twisted Metal would be a little bit harder, because it's not like it has like some super concise narrative to follow, I would think. Or does it have more than I would expect?
Twisted Metal actually has a very in-depth narrative to it. All of them do. And it's kind of got the issue of multiverse and all that good jazz and different timelines and yada yada yada, blah blah blah. And there's that element to it. But also, like, there's enough characters here in Twisted Metal, besides Sweet Tooth, that would be very interesting to see in this show. And there's a lot here that could be done, but they're not doing it yet. Like, all the characters I have met in this show, aside from Sweet Tooth so far, have nothing to do with any of the characters in the actual Twisted Metal video game. And that's kind of an issue. But I'm not sure where they're going with it yet. So,
well, I guess we'll find out. It just started too, right? Like, it's pretty new.
The entire first season was released all at once, I believe.
Oh,
so it's done. It's done already.
Okay, but still came out overall recently, right? Just they're not
July, I think.
Really?
I think in
Has
July.
it been that long? I knew it was this summer. I guess it all blurs together at some point.
Let me double check. July 27th.
Okay, so
It's been a month at least.
Yeah.
And every episode released on the same day. And there are 10 episodes at 30 minutes each. So.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's a good size for a season, I would say.
Mm-hmm. I do feel like there needs to be more, probably. Otherwise, yeah, it's kind of fall flat in my opinion. I don't think they could do enough in 10 episodes, but I'm willing to be proven wrong. So we'll see.
You'd be surprised. Some shows can do well with it. Some shows don't know what to do, and I guess it depends on kind of what narrative they wrote for it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, Apple TV, like a lot of the shows on there, generally are 10 episodes long.
They're probably an hour each, though. This is 30 minutes. That's
no, not all
like,
of them.
Okay.
I would say. I mean, we're watching a show right now. It's got like, I mean, it's probably 35-minute episodes, but I think that some of that includes the preview at the beginning and the, what happened and the title, the credits or whatever. So it probably runs down to like about 30. But yeah, I mean, I would say, depending on the show, it does a lot better. But on the flip side, though, it's not like they're basing it on any sort of media, and that makes a big difference. Mm-hmm. So, if you're trying to, because that's the tricky thing when you're talking about video game shows, like, or, things that are converted or movies or whatever, the big issue usually is, it's like, hey, we're trying to take this thing that generally would take you, let's say, I don't know, average video game 10 to 12 hours, and squeeze it down into a much more palatable time frame. And that can be difficult for some games because not only do you have the narrative that you have to squeeze in, but you kind of have to make some semblance of the gameplay.
So here's the thing. Mm-hmm. The narrative of one single Twisted Metal game could be shown to you in like less than an hour. You mostly get like clips for like, when you like beat a fighting game, like an old school fighting game, and you get like their ending. That's essentially where the narratives for Twisted Metal games come in, at the start and at the end. There is no really in between start and end. So you got maybe like 5-10 minutes of information for each individual character. Not that difficult to kind of build something off of that. The problem is none of the characters aside from Sweet Tooth, not even our main character that we're watching right now, is a character from Twisted Metal. And that in lies the problem. I feel like we're doing what they did with Resident Evil, what they did with this, that, and the other. It's like, yeah, it might be a good show. Because I actually do think this one, at least, is written fairly well and is handled pretty decently. But it's not Twisted Metal. And therein lies the issue. It's not that difficult just to be like, hey, just follow the fucking script that's already laid out for you of the game. You don't have to make new characters. You don't have to do this, that, and other bullshit. It's a game. You already have all the information out there. It's already existed since 1997. Just follow that shit. You have a lot of stuff to go off of. And they're just like, no, we want to make our own stuff. And that is a problem. That is an issue. And it seems like this show might fall into the same issue that other shows have fallen into, where yeah, it might be okay. It might be even good, but it's not Twisted Metal. And that is a fucking problem. Because that's always the fucking problem. They seem like they're too afraid to actually use the source material.
Yeah, it's like, stay tuned for, Twisted Metal re-release with this new character in it. But honestly, though, that was always one of my biggest gripes of the Resident Evil movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like the first ones, because it's like, hey, it's Mila Djokovic, and she's Alice, and there's no Alice equivalent in the games. And even, like, as they go on, there's no Alice equivalent.
Yep.
So it's kind of like, this is kind of, where did she come from? And,
where did she go?
Yeah, and why is she here? And I don't understand why we need her in these movies, because we have these great characters that all
you have so many characters, and they pick and choose like one character, and they're like, oh, look, we're in the third movie, and here's Wesker or some shit like that, But it's like, it took us so long to get there, and like, your dumbass just come on, like, for fuck's sake, come on, you have everything there, you have the template, just follow it. Don't be afraid to actually make a show about a video game.
Yeah, or, everyone remembers the Halo show.
Oh
Did they get
god.
canceled, by the way? I don't even remember.
I don't know, but I hope it did.
And that was
There
their
was
big
more
grab with that too.
ass cheek in that show than there was grunts or
Yeah, and that show
beats or
and that, show,
anything.
and that show has Halo has a lot of lore. Like
Yeah,
a lot of
it has
lore.
novels made based off of it.
Yeah. So they should have no problem making, a TV
They
show or
just
movie.
don't,
That
and it
works.
doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, why? Why?
Nope. I honestly, I think the best attempt I've seen is Last of Us. I think that's kind of
I
the
do
most.
agree that it is very close. I'd say, other than that, let me think. Let me think about video game movies, because
I mean, I think
Jesus
the new Mario Brothers movie, I think
Mhm.
is pretty good attempt. Obviously, they had to fill a lot more in there because they had to give characters new personalities and stuff like that. But I think they do a good job, playing with that universe and making something that feels like the Mario universe in movie form.
Yeah.
I think they did a good job of carrying that over, and giving it a lot more. Surprisingly, giving it a lot more personality in the
You know what?
in the process.
I've got one.
Yeah.
Castlevania.
I haven't watched it. I know you guys talk about
so
it.
fucking good.
Yeah, I know you guys like that one. I feel like there's some other ones too that did a pretty good job with that. Let's see. I mean, for what it's worth, the Super Mario Brothers Super Show I always thought was a good kind of tribute to kind
Arcane
of
is good. Arcane's really good.
Wow.
That's the one based off of League of Legends.
Yeah, no, I remember you guys talking about that one too.
Very good
I
one.
remember you saying that was really good. I know there's a big one we're missing.
Cyberpunk.
I don't know that one.
Huh?
I said I don't know that one.
I know, but it's really fucking good.
No, definitely not Resident Evil, the TV show.
Nope.
Thank you for that horrible suggestion. Let's see what else is there. Oh, I mean Pokemon anime. I guess that's fair. This is not all of them. Where are they? Let's see. Let's look at the Rotten Tomatoes and see what they have.
Were you on IMDb?
No, I just Googled. Let's see what came up. The Witcher. People like that. I guess there's also a book though too. So
I was going to also say it follows the book more than it does the video game. Way more. Pretty much, it exclusively follows the book.
This is horrible. It doesn't even have half the things on there. Screw you, Rotten Tomatoes.
Rotten Tomatoes is not known for quality.
Let's see.
Number 12 is Spirits Within. Get the fuck out.
Oh, the Ace Attorney movie. One that
yes, that movie was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
It's made by one of my favorite directors.
Also, I mean, I think it's nonsensical, but I would still say that stupid Final Fantasy VII movie.
Yeah.
Forgot about that one. Oh, I like the Professor Layton movie too. I forgot about that as well.
I haven't seen that one.
I thought it was really good. It had a lot of... It actually incorporated some puzzles and stuff into it too. Make it a little bit more interesting. So, I mean, I thought it was good. And, I had the good voice actors and everything. And, I mean, it's a game that I would love to see.
There's Detective Pikachu.
Oh, Detective Pikachu. Yes. Excellent example.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I like that movie
I essentially didn't even have to play the game because I watched the movie.
No, I know. I've said it so many times, and it's not a lie. Like, it literally is... It is half of the first game. Or, no, so the movie includes, like, basically the first half of... No, how do I put this? The movie, its story is comprised of the first half of the game and then a logical ending to it. Because the first game kind of does not resolve itself. And, I think that movie's excellent. I like... As creepy as some of the Pokemon looked, I honestly think that it did a good job kind of translating them into something realistic looking.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good. And you know what? Made Ditto kind of a cool villain. So kind of happy with it. Let's see. I think we covered all of the exciting ones that I know of.
I think so too.
Sorry. The last Mortal Kombat movie. I thought it was really good.
Okay.
Too.
I thought it was alright.
I really like the original one, though.
The original ones, I think, are better.
I don't remember why I liked the last Mortal Kombat movie. I remember thinking it was good. It may have just because my bar was so low. But
that's entirely possible.
Oh, and I did have fun with the Uncharted movie, but that's not winning any awards. So
Hmm.
kind of just if you want something kind of video gamey to play, then
Mhm.
it's not too bad. Oh, there's a You Don't Know Jack TV show. Forgot about that. I even heard about it recently.
Really?
Yeah, I think it was a game show, and I think it was hosted by Paul Rubin. Let's see. Yes, it was hosted by Paul Rubin, also known as Pee Wee Herman.
Interesting.
Oh, and here it lists all these shows that are coming out soon that are based on things. So, Alan Wake, Assassin's Creed, Fallout.
Wait, Alan Wake's gonna have a TV show? What?
Apparently,
Hmm.
let's see what it says. AMC developing Alan Wake TV series, and this was from last year. So, obviously, we still moved to production phase, and it still could fall through, but still possibility. They're making that Knuckles TV show. Forgot about that. Mass Effect. Supposed to get one on the Amazon. Series about video games. Well, I don't know any of these. Oh, because I guess they're not about, because this is where they have things like Game Center, like that, that show.
Okay.
Games Master, Captain N, those kind of things. Mythic Quest, which is good. Oh, that's a pretty Wikipedia. You have a pretty comprehensive list. They even have episodes of TV shows that are based about video games too. So yeah, there's good stuff there. All right. Now we're talking about that. You got anything else to talk about?
No, nothing else to talk about.
We ready to move on to news?
Yep.
Oh, there's not really any news. It's just there's a Nintendo Direct coming this week. Aren't you excited?
I mean, I guess it's okay.
It's just about Super Mario Wonder. 15 minutes of Super Mario Wonder.
Hmm.
So that's exciting because obviously, as we've been talking about, they need to release more information about it. Game is coming out in less than 2 months. So there's that. And kind of like we talked about last week, I was like, I feel like this Charles Martinet bomb drop is because they're getting ready to drop something and they don't want people to be distracted. And lo and behold, a week later, they're like, hey, let's talk about Super Mario Wonder. So there's that. Which I guess also leads to a bunch of extra questions. So, I'm really excited to see more about this game because that Nintendo Direct trailer for it, I thought it looked fantastic. And I thought the art style looks fantastic. I think it looks great, like how animated everything is and how lively the characters are. And it looks like they have they put a lot of thought in interesting new features. Like I feel like it's been a while since we've seen a 2D Mario game that's like, hey, let's try something really new. And so this looks like that may be it. So that is exciting. I'm excited to see kind of what they choose to show us. Because it's just going to be kind of a low level, let's get your teeth wet and see what else there is kind of thing. Which is fine. Cool with that. But then you kind of have the other side of the coin where it's like, okay, there's always usually a big direct in September. We have to assume they're not foregoing it this year because they still have other games this year that they need to talk about. So why did we decide to separate this out? I don't know. I'm guessing that whatever they have to show, they think is big enough that it kind of warrants its own kind of focus. And they did when they said Charles Martinet was kind of stepping down. They were like, hey, we're going to put a YouTube video up with Miyamoto to talk about everything. And they didn't do it. So I'm kind of wondering if that's going to be incorporated into this too.
Oh, that would make sense. Yeah, that would make sense.
And maybe that's why. Because honestly, if there's anything that gets me bitching about Nintendo Directs, it's when they take 15 minutes to focus on one game. I don't care how good the game is. I really just want the fast go 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 trailer. And when they're like, let's talk about Mario Tennis. Oh, you can lob and you can volley. And it's like, no, I don't care. I don't care. I'm sure it's fantastic. And I would say the same thing about this. As much as I'm excited for this game and as much as, it's something I want to kind of sit and digest. And and Nintendo Directs are more for just like rapid absorption of information. So that's kind of my theory. I do think that we will likely see, like I said, Nintendo Direct generally is usually within the first 2 weeks of September, almost like clockwork, and I don't see any reason for them to not do it like usual. So we should expect that. And I don't know. I mean, because they do have to talk about what Detective Pikachu coming up soon. They have. I mean, they'll probably throw in another trailer for Mario Wonder because that's just kind of their thing. We have to assume that they're going to talk about Super Mario RPG because that's there too. The Pokemon company has been kind of doing their own thing with talking about the Pokemon DLC because they have a lot going on there. So I wouldn't really expect a big focus on that. And not to mention that's like the first thing drops in like 2 weeks. So
the first Pokemon DLC?
Yeah.
Oh shit!
I forgot. It's like September 15th or something.
Well,
so,
it drops in 2 days.
Starfield?
Yeah, it does. There's news about it. Did you see the news about Starfield?
It looks like pretty much the whole game's been leaked. What do you want to know?
Okay, well, that I meant the news that actually came from the developers, not that's not the leakers. Who several of them are in prison now. But that's a whole nother can of worms.
Well, that kid was dumb because he I don't know how he got copies of it, but then he would decide to sell them. Like that's just like
he stole them. That's how he got copies of them. That's why he's in prison. He stole them. He found $20,000 worth of stolen items inside of his house and a bunch of drugs, and that's why he's in jail.
Yep, that's a good reason. Honestly, it always kind of baffles me the people who get so public with their crimes when they're like the guy who got sent to not got sent to prison. I think he did do prison. But then, he got out, and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna dock your pay for the rest of eternity because you owe us $1.5 billion." Well, I mean, the reason he got there in the first place was because he was brazenly selling pirated shit on the internet, loud and clear, you can't miss it, kind of thing.
You're a little bit wrong about that one. I mean,
what was the difference?
The difference was he was part of a modding ring for, I think it was 3DS and Wii U or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Part of it. The reason why he got smashed so hard in a completely unfair way, by the way, his punishment was just unfair in every single way, shape, and form.
Still don't disagree on that.
The reason why is because he didn't give out the names of the other people that worked with him. And they made an example of him because of it. He was the only one that they found. He wasn't just announcing what his name was. They found the group, and then he was the only one they were able to track down from the group. And then when they approached him asking for the names of the other people that worked with him, he's like, I'm not at liberty to say. I'm not going to tell you who they are. And they were like, all right, cool. We're going to fuck you up, essentially, is what happened. So because he wouldn't snitch and also turn in everyone else, they just raked him over the coals, more or less.
Yeah, but I think he was also publicly... Wasn't he the one who was actually, actively going out and, pushing their product, though?
I don't know about that. If he is, that may have been something that came forward later, because that was not something that was talked about at the beginning. That would make more sense, because, I thought they just tracked him down, and they were like, well, we need to know everyone else now. And he was like, no. And they were like, okay, well, we're going to absolutely ruin your life.
Yeah, it's a mess. I mean, like I said, I think that punishment is so severe that, it's not, equitable to the crime. But, yeah.
Not only that, but, he will never recover. He essentially is just, in his case, because he's never going to be able to afford a normal living space because of everything, he's better off dead. He is kind of fucked completely.
Yeah, and he's 53 too. So yeah, no, it's wild. Trying to see if I can find out, what it was, because I remember reading something like that. But I don't remember. But that was I remember reading that somewhere. But I don't know. Maybe it's incorrect. So I don't know.
But the news I want to talk about Starfield was everyone getting all up in arms because you can walk not throughout the entire planet. You can hit a invisible wall if you walk too far, and therefore the entire planet's not fully explorable, and instead you have to explore it in quadrants instead, and you can't just fully explore the planet in one foul swoop. And I'm just sitting here like, I've played No Man's Sky. I've played No Man's Sky a lot. There comes a certain point in No Man's Sky where you're just like, all right, I've had enough of this. Time for me to go somewhere else, essentially. And that point is at about 10 to 15 minutes. And that's about how long it takes you to get from one side of the planet to the other side before you have to teleport to another quadrant and that sort of thing. And I think people are kind of making a big deal out of this for no reason whatsoever. Like, I get it, but like, people are kind of trying to use it as a gotcha. Like, I knew it wasn't fully explorable. You liar. This game's going to be trash. And I'm just sitting here like, I think you're stupid. Like, I legitimately think you're really stupid. I'm kind of excited for Starfield at this point. Like,
I did see something recently that was like, hey, this is the most polished Bethesda game that's ever been released.
That is what I saw too. And that was when I started being like, okay, all right, I'm excited. Let's go. If something is the most polished Bethesda game, that's impressive. And you know, they did delay it by a year to do the same thing that Nintendo did, which I found out. Apparently, this was supposed to release last year, but they delayed it a year because they wanted to take a year to polish it out and make sure they could stomp any of the major bugs. And, you know, that if you can do that with games, I think people should do that with games, especially if the games turn out better.
Yeah.
So, I'm excited. I can't wait to see what this is like. I will be talking about it next week because I will have the early edition. So whereas I would have to wait to get it next week, I'm going to have it on Thursday at 8 p.m.
Not too bad. Yeah, so Bowser thing. Gary Bowser, the hacker. Yep. So he was one who helped mass produce illegal mod chips that allowed obviously playing pirated software.
Yeah.
I thought there was more to it there.
Okay.
Okay, please hold. But anyways, yes, no. So the game looks good. So you're getting an early release.
Yeah. And if you or anyone else wants to get an early release, the Game Pass version you can get early, and the way you do that is by being subscribed to Game Pass and then buying the Ultimate Edition add-on, which is $31, which then gives you all the upcoming DLC, the entire game, it's either 6 or 5 days early, as well as like all the special edition stuff that you would get if you just bought the game outright. But you only have to pay $31 because you're already subscribed to Game Pass. So, I think that's a nifty little thing. I did it for Forza in the past. And essentially how it works is as long as you have Game Pass, I mean, you have all your stuff. And if you drop Game Pass, it'll be there once you come back to Game Pass, essentially. So, and I'm pretty much always subbed to Game Pass, so it doesn't matter to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, absolutely. So apparently not only was he profiting from the mod chips, he was also making people pay for private games. Is what I'm reading.
Okay.
But I think that's what it was. I think he was the one that was kind of like the one who was actually like going out and kind of like basically like marketing the product, and that's how they found it.
That would make more sense how they called him, because I literally thought they just, they sent their Nintendo ninjas out to get him.
Yeah, I guess the advice if you're going to commit a crime, don't be like the public face of your like anonymous hacking community. So, yeah, no, but no, I do want to play Starfield. Hopefully, I remember to play it. I hope it's not bad. I'm kind of excited about even stuff that I've read with the kind of leaks that have been out there. I don't think anything's like necessarily like turned me off to it. I think it's an interesting concept, and it seems like they have, I would say some like enough to keep it interesting. But you're right; it does really give me like a No Man's Sky vibe. I would say, for better or worse, I suppose. So yeah. Anything else you want to talk about?
No, I have nothing else to say, to be completely honest.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's all I got too. Ready to wrap it up?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening to us today. Don't forget to find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google, Amazon, wherever you get your podcasts, or you can reach out, or you can also find our episodes on game-crunch.com. All our episodes are there and available. If you want to reach out to us, we're on Facebook, or you can send us an email at gamecrunchcast@gmail.com. Brandon,
Hi.
any final thoughts?
No, I think I'm good, honestly.
All right. And with that said, my name is Wicked Station. You can find me online. I am Clash of Penguin there or on your favorite gaming console. And until next week, game on.
Game on. Hello.
Hey, what's going on?
Not much. I was making dinner.
Exciting.
Also, there's a big old, huge old fuck off storm here.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, a big
No, that's-
hurricane thing. It's coming through very soon.
Oh, is it?
So we're getting the pre-storm. I don't know what to call it, but saying pre-storm sounds really sexual, so I need to step back from.
I was thinking the same thing, but